again. What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. So this is the propane spin drift I showed you a few weeks ago with all the new parts. But since I've been putting countless of laps on this thing and I'm really stoked with how it rides. That being said, I haven't found a perfect setup because in my opinion there is no such thing as a perfect setup. What you can find is a really good base, and this is because every trail is different, the conditions keep on changing, so does your riding. So all you can do is find something that works well everywhere, but it's never gonna be perfect because you're always gonna have to adjust it a little bit based on those different parameters. So today I'm gonna do a super in-depth bike check of this bike, going through everything from all the settings on my suspension, cockpit, the brakes, tires, literally everything there is to know. But first, let's get some riding. Okay, I'm about to ride one of my favorite laps in Squamish. Shout out to the boys for all the trail work. That's such a sick track. Okay, let's go home and talk about this bike. Okay, let's take a deep dive onto my propane spin drift. So this is the same bike as I was using last year, but obviously I've got a bunch of new parts, especially the suspension. First, let's take a look at the actual frame. So this is a size medium, 180mm travel front and back. Because I run it as a mullet, the reach is roughly 457mm, which is quite long for someone my size. I'm 5'7" or 170 centimeters, but I find the bike very comfortable this way. Gives me a lot of confidence when I go fast or when the trails are rough, but also because I run a high stack and have a small wheel on the back, I find it very easy to play with the bike and turn it around. Talking about the frame, just like every other bike I have, it's protected by ride wrap. It's also hydrophobic, making it easier to clean when it's muddy like today. So now let's look at the most important, the suspension. Since I announced that I was gonna be on Vorsprung. I received a ton of questions about my settings, how I set up the tailum, how I set up the fork, what I change. So let's take a look. When you buy that shock, the tailum, you have to tell Vorsprung what bike you ride, first of all, what you like, what you dislike. You have to talk about the type of trail you ride, your level, of course your weight, and so that way they can custom build you a tailum shock just for you. So basically when you receive the shock, you get all those information. It's also online on the tuning app. But basically, you know, this shock was set up for a propane spin drift. So this bike, mullet, for my weight, 70 kilos. This is with gear. I'm about 65, 66 kilos. So you add the gear, 70 kilos for the type of riding I like to do. And yeah, let's look at all the settings. So you got a damper setup. Obviously you got your spring, compression damper, rebound damper. So let's have a look. So to set up an equal shock, in my opinion, the most important is to start with the right spring. So Vorsprung set me up with a spring dex that goes from 450 to 500, and they thought that 450 should be pretty good for me to start with. And for the type of riding that I've been doing lately, so enduro trails like almost downhill, 450 was good. I'm able to use the entire travel of the bike without feeling like it's too soft. If I was to ride mostly jump trails and bike park, I might want to run it a bit stiffer, which you can do by just turning that little plastic spacer. So it's really convenient. Now if we look at the damping, so you got a hydraulic bottom out settings, which basically is going to control how the shock reacts on the last 15% of the travel to avoid any harsh bottom out. I was able to use the entire travel of the bike, but without feeling that any nasty bottom out where you can really feel like the shock just coming to an end. So I haven't felt the need to touch that so far. So I've got 6 clicks from fully closed. Now if we look at the compression damper, so my valving is 12. You can change the valving easily on the shocks, but I haven't had to do it so far. My low speed compression should be 14 clicks from closed. I actually changed a little bit the settings, mostly because I wanted the shock to move a little bit more freely, and I like when it sits a little bit lower, especially because I've been riding a lot of like really steep trails. So I remember opening a little bit the low speed and the high speed compression. So let's see what I got. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got 15 clicks of the low speed, which is a 3mm Allen key. And the high speed, let's see how much I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 clicks. So obviously I'm gonna put it back to 9 clicks and 15 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. I always take notes on my phone, just so when I'm out on the trail, at a bike park or anything, it's really easy for me to go back through the settings and make any changes or go back to what I had previously. So my low speed compression was 15 from closed, high speed compression was 9. And what I'll do next is that I'll update everything on the tuning app on Vorsprung, so that way when working with Steve, he can see the different changes I've made to the shock for future researches and also for my future shocks. Now let's look at the rebound damping. So it's a 3mm Allen key, rebound valving 12, and so the low speed rebound adjuster was 9 clicks from closed. And when I started to ride the bike, that was actually, in my opinion, almost a little bit fast. Because I've been riding so many steep trails, I didn't want to feel like I was getting kicked towards the front. And so I like when the bike stays a bit lower on the back. So I remember slowing it down. So let's see how many clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 clicks. So that means that I actually slow down the rebound by 4 clicks compared to what Vorsprung had set up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's it for the shock. I've been super stoked with how it rides, but those are my settings. I don't remember if I mentioned it, but I'm basically 65 kilos. Now let's look at the front. This is actually a RockShox Zeb Ultimate, but I use the Vorsprung Secus add-on, which is basically to enlarge the air chamber and make this air fork feel more like a coil fork. So really supple at the start, good support in the middle, and then you can control the bottom out by using volume spacers. So I run 2 volume spacers and 60 psi. Now let's look at the rebound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12 clicks from fully closed. And obviously I'm gonna put it back. Now if we look at the damper, I'm right in the middle of the high speed and the low speed compression. I've played with it a little bit, but I'm happy with how it is right now, because if I'm riding some super steep trail, I can just simply add a little bit of low speed to keep the front of the bike high. If I'm gonna do a super gnarly gap with a super heavy impact, I can just simply add a bit of high speed compression. So being for your base setting in the middle is pretty much what you want. That way you can either go softer or stiffer. Okay, that's it for the suspension. Now let's look at the rest of the bike. Okay, now let's look around the cranks. I've got the Rimpact chain damper. I've done videos about this product, but the idea basically is that it limits the negative impact of the chain on the rear suspension. The chain is a lot of weight. It moves up and down, affecting how the shock and the bike feels. And by having the chain damper on, that's basically solutions that. So me, what I feel when I ride the bike is that it's more comfortable. The suspension is more active under braking, and also I can see better because there is less vibration going through me. So this is a 32 teeth chainring. It's got the trail spring. You can also choose the regular one if you want even more resistance, but I like the trail because it's more comfortable when pedaling the bike. For the cranks, we've got the Frazen. They are CNC machine in Germany, and they come in different sizes, but I'm sticking with 165 on my trail bike. On my e-bikes, I'm gonna run 160, on the downhill bike 160 as well. If you want to go even shorter with 155, you can, or 175 if you are really tall and you like the leverage. But I feel like 165 for me on that bike is really good. Now let's take a look at the wheels. So as you can see on the wheels, it says Noble 38, but they have nothing to do with the current TR 38. This is a brand new wheel that Noble is working on, that I'm testing, and I'll tell you more when they come out. But so far, I've really enjoyed how they ride. They feel really compliant. And they are mounted on the Project 321 G3 hubs. So same hub as I was running last year. It's been extremely reliable. It's got some really cool features, and I've been stoked on them. Now, if we look at the tires, you don't see me very often, but right now I'm riding the High Roller 3 on the rear wheel, but also on the front wheel. It's pretty perfect at this time of the year where the dirt is super soft, and it allows to really like dig deep and get good grip. As you saw in the footage today, some of those trails were like super soft. So that tire really allow you to kind of keep the line. I still was making a lot of mistakes, but I felt like I had a pretty perfect tire set for today. I went downhill casing, rear and front. I could go for a double down, but I went with the downhill casing. I like how it feels, and I didn't do much pedaling, so I wasn't concerned about the weight, which by the way, will weigh this bike at the end of the video because I don't actually know how light or how heavy it is, but it is a really burly build. We've got also the new Topic valve, high volume valve, so makes it really easy to inflate. Now let's have a look at the cockpit. So on the Spindrift, I run the One-Up Components V2 handlebar. Those are carbon, and this is a 50mm rise. It is the tallest bar they make. I used to run the 35mm, but I feel like 50 gives me some extra height, extra confidence when it gets really steep, and I do really like it, especially because the bike is quite big. That makes my stack higher, and therefore that makes the reach feel a little bit smaller, which I like. It's paired with a 35mm stem, and for the seat post, I've got a 180mm V3 dropper from One-Up as well. Now, if we look at the seat, this is the Ergon SM Enduro Team Edition, which actually just released to the public. So it's been years that I get questions of people wanting to buy this seat with a big white Ergon logo, which you couldn't buy before. It was just for ambassadors and athletes. Well, finally, Ergon made it available to the public. So there is a link in the description. Make sure you check it out. The grips, those are the Ergon GDH. I run them on every single bike. Super comfortable, really grippy with or without gloves. Okay, let's look at the brakes now. So this year I partner with Galfer for the rotors and the brake pads. On this bike, I've got the Shark design. I think they look really cool and they've been performing well. 203mm for the rear and for the front. They do bigger diameter, but I don't feel like I need it for what I do and for my weight. It's plenty of power. For brake pads, I've got the Pro model. They sent me the different materials they do. So far, I've only tried the Pro and they've been performing well when it was really dry or days like today when it was wet. So I've been stoked on that. For brakes, I've got the Ace Dominion A4. I've been on them for years. Now, if we look at the rest of the bike, we've got a mudhugger. You saw the conditions today. It was actually quite muddy. There is no way you could do a run and get to the bottom without mud on your face without one of these. So I highly recommend getting one. We got the new valves from Topic. They make pumping the tire even quicker than before. We've got the feed lock. This is a 590ml bottle and it fits really well on the Spindrift size medium. For the pedals, we got the Time Schisto. Those are the downhill pedal. I normally run either the Special 10 for my enduro bike, but on this bike, because I'm riding a bit quicker, I'm riding more downhill style trail and I do bigger jump, I like the platform of the Schisto. And a lot of you have been asking me why I run the pins only on the back. Well, it's because when you clip your shoe on the pedal, the front of the pedal doesn't actually touch the sole of the shoe. So the pins are basically pointless when you ride clipped in, but they do offer an advantage if you unclip and you ride with your foot on the pedal, you got extra grip. But I feel like whenever I unclip, I'm able to clip back really quickly. So I prefer not having the pins because I feel like they could make it harder to clip back your shoe onto the pedal. Moving on to the rear, the chain is a KMC SL 12 speed. Those chains have been extremely reliable and they come with a bunch of different colors. Gold, black, aura or silver like this. We got a E13 12 speed cassette. This is a 945. Shimano XT rear der and Shimano XT shifter. Pretty simple, pretty basic, but it works really well and I buy it on Jenson USA, which by the way, all of those products pretty much you can find them on Jenson USA. And when you use the links in my description, that support my channel, so thanks so much for that. What else do we have? I think that's pretty much it for the bike. Oh yeah, we have to weight it now. Okay, now the moment of truth. I'm gonna see how heavy or how light is this bad boy. So I'm using this scale, which by the way is really convenient when I'm traveling, so I can check the weight of my luggage. So just above 17 kilos. It's, I don't know what to think. Is it light? Is it heavy? Let me know in the comment below. What I can tell you is that if this bike could be even a little bit heavier when going downhills, I will make it even more stable and I will make it go through rough stuff even more easily. You saw Jackson Goldstone and a lot of the World Cup racers strapping weight at the bottom of their bike because weight is nice when you go downhill, but obviously you want a lighter bike when you pedal. Well, thanks everybody for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it answered a lot of your questions. If you did like the video, make sure you subscribe, leave me a like and a comment. It really helps with YouTube showing this video. And if you want to save some money, check out the codes and the links in the description at the same time that support me a little bit. So thank you so much for that. I'll see you next week.